Yo, crew, Captain Jordan here. If you've ever heard something terrifying or unexplained happen on the water, throw us a line at ghostboatadventures@gmail.com. Your stories keep this logbook alive. And if you'd like to help keep the ghost boat afloat, you can toss a coin in the treasure chest. Link below. Tonight's episode takes us to one of the most violent stretches of water on the entire northwest coast, Hecate Strait, in the dead of winter. A place where the ocean doesn't rise and fall, it attacks. This is the true story of a halibut longliner that went down with all hands except one. And what that lone survivor saw during those 3 days adrift in the blackness still shakes every veteran fisherman to their core. This is Scary Sea Stories Trilogy, Episode 3, The Ghost Crew of Hecate Strait. Let's begin. The longliner goes down. The halibut longliner had been fighting the storm for hours. Waves towered over the bow, wind tearing across the deck, gear slamming against the bulkheads. Men shouted over the howl of the winter gale, holding on, working hard, doing what crews have always done, trusting their boat, trusting their training. But there's a moment every fisherman fears, a moment when a vessel starts losing the fight, when the roll feels wrong, when the hull shudders deep, not like a living thing bending, but like something about to break. Down below, one crewman grabbed his survival suit. He fought to get inside it as the deck tilted, gear flying, water rushing in. Somehow, in the chaos, in the dark, with seconds left, he managed to zip it closed. Moments later, the longliner rolled hard and disappeared beneath the waves, taking every other man with her. Only one floated back up into the storm, a single orange dot in the endless black skin of Hecate Strait. The first night, survive until dawn. The survivors surfaced into hell. 40-foot breakers crashed over him, each one slamming his body, ripping at the suit, forcing seawater into his face. He spun, tumbled, gasped, learning quickly that the only way to stay alive was to turn his back to the waves and let them hit his shoulders instead of his face. No horizon, no stars, no sky, just darkness and the roar of something ancient and merciless. He clung to one thought, one promise, whispered to himself. If I can just hold on until dawn, they will find me. But dawn never came. Not that day. Not in any way he could see. The second day, drifting into exhaustion. By the next afternoon, he had no sense of direction, no idea where the wreck had gone, and no way to know if anyone was searching. His world shrank to cold, hunger, and darkness. As the second night fell, the storm surged again. He drifted alone, barely conscious, holding on to the survival suit as if it were the last piece of the world left to him. No one survives this long in winter Hecate Strait, he would later be told. No one. The third night, the shape in the storm. Sometime deep into the third night, when exhaustion had stripped him down to pure instinct and fading will, he noticed a shape in the darkness. At first he thought it was a broken piece of the longliner, a shadow riding a wave crest, but it didn't bob like debris. It didn't drift. It moved with intention. Lightning cracked across the sky, and he saw it clearly, a small wooden dory approaching through the storm. Not modern, not aluminum, not even from this century. An old dory, weathered planks, high bow, hand-hewn ribs, a relic from a world long gone. And somehow it stayed upright in a sea that could flip steel. The men inside the dory were 3 men. They weren't rescuers. They weren't wearing modern flotation gear. They had no reflective tape, no bright jackets, no radio. Instead, they wore ancient yellow oilskins, the heavy canvas kind used by fishermen before synthetic weather gear existed. Their hats, sou'westers, hung low over their faces. He could barely see their eyes, but the glimpse he caught felt wrong. Pale, weathered faces, etched by storms that no longer existed. None of them spoke. None shouted instructions. None asked if he needed help. They simply rode, slow and powerful, as if the storm wasn't there. The impossible movement of the dory as he watched, something unsettled him deeply. The dory wasn't being thrown by the waves. It wasn't pitched or rolled. Breakers slammed around it, but never over it. Spray flew in every direction, yet the men rowing remained dry. But the part he would never forget, the dory made no sound, no creak of wood, no splash of oars, no thump of waves against the hull. It moved across the surface of Hecate Strait like a shadow cast on ice. The circling 3 passes, the dory came toward him, then veered slightly and began to circle. 1, a wide, silent loop, twice, closer this time. The men now clearly watching him. 3 times, a perfect tightening spiral. On the 3rd pass, the man in the bow reached out and extended a weathered hand, as if offering to pull him aboard. And he tried. He genuinely tried, kicking and clawing to grab hold and climb out of the freezing sea. But every time he got close, a wave tore him away. Still the dory hovered, waiting, patient, silent. The moment the dead let go. On the morning of the 3rd day, a sound tore through the storm, a sound from the world of the living, a helicopter. But it hadn't been sent to rescue him. The crew had been told, "You're searching for bodies, not survivors." Yet there he was, waving weakly, still fighting. The dory turned slightly, as if acknowledging the interruption, and began to drift away. Then it simply faded into the storm. A rescue swimmer hit the water, reached him, and hauled him into the harness. As the winch lifted him toward the helicopter, he looked down, and the place where the dory had been was empty. The hospital revealed. Once he reached the hospital, the truth finally came out. Doctors told him he hadn't been staring into endless night. He had been temporarily blinded by the force of seawater striking his eyes, and every time a breaker hit, he could not see the storm. He could not see the waves. He could not see the dory. He had survived in complete darkness for 3 days, and when he told his rescuers what he'd seen, he said something that chilled even the toughest men on the coast. If I had climbed into that dory, I believe I would have become one of them, still rowing through storms, looking for the next poor soul. To him, the ghost crew wasn't there to rescue him. They were there to collect him, and he refused to ride without even knowing it. Crew, what's your thoughts? Does this one shiver your timbers? Have you heard of ghost crews rowing the straits? Drop your thoughts in the comments and throw us a line at ghostboatadventures@gmail.com. If you've survived something that belongs in the next log, And if you'd like to help keep the ghost boat afloat, like the video, subscribe, and toss a coin in the treasure chest. Through tilt and wake, through fall and shout, Captain Jordan and his crew of ghosts over and out.